What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Culture FC, the weekly soccer show where we discuss all culturally relevant soccer topics. That includes lifestyle, fashion, politics, music, etc., etc., etc. I'm Alan.
I'm Louis.
I'm Brendan.
And we're here today. We discuss fashion and soccer. And for us, that's a topic that's very near and dear to us because we are big soccer fans and big fans of fashion, but we also have a company that kind of does just that in fashion and soccer. So we go into that. We go into the history of soccer, how it's grown in popularity over the years, why it's so big in the U.S., why it's growing, and if we think it's reached its limits. So don't forget, if you like the podcast, please leave us that 5-star review. It means so much to us. And after you leave us that 5-star review, not to ask too much of you, but please don't be afraid to share the podcast with a friend. Know someone that likes soccer, they might enjoy this podcast as well. So we hope that you really enjoy the episode. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, guys. This week we're going to be introducing a new segment. We're going to basically be going through this week's current events or some news that popped up, and then before we jump into this week's topic. So, first thing I want to bring up is the Boston Breakers have officially folded for the 2018 season, which is really sad because they were the longest running professional women's team through all the different leagues. So between the NWSL, between the PWPL, and the other women's league that existed before it, the Breakers were the longest running professional women's team, and they officially folded.
I did not know they were the longest running.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for me, I actually coached a little stint for their youth development academy. So it kind of hits home, but
Yeah.
Do you have any gear?
I do have
He actually does. His gear's sick. I remember when he got the Boston Breakers, he was like, "Damn, that's sick."
Yeah. But
When were they established? Do we know?
When were the Breakers established? I don't know. We could.
Hey, if you know when the Breakers were established, we don't have time to look it up right now because we want to do it on the fly. So let us know in the comments.
But yeah, so one of the biggest reasons was that they actually don't have their own stadium and they don't have any of their own facilities really. So, their games, they had been renting the stadium out from Harvard for the longest time. And so we'll move on to the next one. And this one is hilarious. So Kennedy, who was a player from Chelsea, got loaned out to Newcastle United. And in his one of his first interviews with some of the people at the club, he said that he knew a lot about Newcastle because of the movie Goal. And this was one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
Dude, that is hilarious. 'Cause at first, when I thought you said Goal, I thought it was like Goal, the TV show, But now that you said that it was the movie Goal, it's like, wow, that's like a true. Hey, I want to become a professional soccer player. I've watched Goal before, and it's like, hey, I now know Newcastle.
The first time I had seen this news article before you brought it up right now, but my reaction to this was laugh out loud funny because I'm thinking this guy just signed for a professional football club that's been around for so long. Newcastle has a rich history.
Has won a Premier League.
They have had players that have really changed the Premier League.
Alan
and then
Shearer.
you come in and you're saying, yeah, I really only know what's been on this movie Goal. That was like a quick little highlight of Newcastle.
Mind you,
where he doesn't even end up playing.
Yeah, right?
A fictitious soccer movie.
Fictitious soccer movie about a fictitious player who played on a fictitious Newcastle team.
Just speak your mind, man. There's no PR.
Yeah, right? Hey, there's really. At least he's honest.
Hey, I commend him for his honesty. It's just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next point, though. This past Monday, Mr. Beckham, finally announced his MLS team in Miami. The funny part about it, though, is that it didn't include I read one article saying it was going to start in 2020, but that hasn't been really put in the forefront of all of this. They haven't really given stadium plans. They haven't really done anything other than a party to say that it's official.
Oh.
And so a lot of people on the internet were like, Wait, so you're
Yay.
yay!
Yeah, I saw a bunch of like, oh, congratulations, Daddy! Like you did it! Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like
congratulations!
Jay-Z
Will
congratulated
Smith,
him. Like,
Jay-Z,
it was also
Neymar.
kind of weird because Beckham posted on his Instagram. Sorry if you guys follow him, but he posted a sequence of people congratulating him on his Instagram.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too.
It was like Jay-Z, I want to say
All
like
these people, Will
Beyonce,
Smith.
Rihanna. Yeah, random people. It was like,
Jennifer Lopez was like, I made you guys meet. Like it was all me.
Between him and his business partner J-Lo was like taking credit for introducing them. Which
Yeah,
is,
total.
hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, right.
The other one too, Messi hit him up and was like, "Hey, hit me up and I'll come play in Miami."
yeah.
You know, what I
That's
mean, it's a
really
few
cool.
years away,
Yeah.
but imagine, like, dude, if Messi came to play in the MLS, every single game will be sold out. I don't care if Messi's like 40 years old; every game will be sold out, especially in Miami.
We'll see what really turns out. Like, we don't have any plans for it.
Dang,
like,
I thought it was
so-
gonna come out like next year. I was like, oh, word, we're gonna have a new like team to watch. Like, nah, they're a
There's just
team.
an idea right now.
Yeah,
that
they're gonna be
Well,
something.
because you know what it is? He's been trying to do this for 3 years, and every time he gets a stadium plan, they like reject it, and so it's just been like every single time he's been close to announcing, he hasn't announced. So it feels like they were just like, all right, let's just announce it because
Let's just say we've said
let's
yes.
just say we've said yes because everyone knows it. So let's put a formal party where we introduce everybody, but in reality, we're not really saying anything new. That was the part that really threw me off.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Adidas has released their cold-blooded pack, which included the X17 Plus Pure Speed. I don't actually know what part of that is the actual name, but it's a super.
Like the names are just getting longer and
They're
longer.
just
like,
so confusing.
So it's like, where are the days
Lethal
of
strike.
like, yes, pure control 18.1.
So right now you have the
Newest
Predator patch. So in this pack you have the Predator 18, the Nemesis 17, and the Copa 18.1, and this one's just called Pure Speed, which is out of all the names the most boring. You know,
Yeah.
Predator, Nemesis, Copa, Pure Speed. But either way, there's the Pure Speed, despite its name, is in my personal opinion the coolest looking one.
Yeah.
I saw it the other day and I actually absolutely fell in love with it. I think I texted Alan telling him that, or I texted both of you. I texted you too, saying that this will be probably my next like pair of boots because these are so sick. David De Gea was wearing them today actually, which is really cool.
Mohamed Salah was also wearing them at the last game yesterday.
Yeah.
No, but those aren't like the ones with the sock, right?
These are not the glitch.
Okay,
This is a separate boot because the glitch is going to stay just in England, is what I read. For those of you who don't know, the glitch is these boots that Adidas came out with, which is basically like you put on the inner sock and you're able to put on the outer of any boot you want, basically. So there's a bunch of different options you can customize your boot with by having this inner sock and this outer part of the boot. It's a really awesome concept.
Yeah.
But they're keeping it exclusive to England for a little while, or the UK. I don't know if it's specifically for England, but I'm sure it's just the UK for the moment. And then hopefully, what Brendan was saying is that we wish we could have some.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think
It's like the
great
cooler
innovative.
tune it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Shout out to the Tune It, you were my favorite boot ever. I still look on eBay every once in a while for my size.
My cousin had it.
The blue ones?
Yep, the
Blue and white ones.
Yeah.
Little baby blue ones.
No, I had the white and the blue, like the white and the navy blue, but I
Oh, okay.
popped 2 holes
Oh,
in the
yeah,
tops
yeah.
of them.
My cousin Marcelo had the baby blue and white striped ones, and those are pretty
and
good.
then
Yeah.
what was it? What's Ricky,
Yeah.
dude. You always had a bunch of doings, dude.
But cool, yeah. That kind of wraps up this week's news.
Yeah. And before we get into the main topic, if you're watching this, you might see that Louis and I are both wearing Manchester United jerseys. We're not pushing a Manchester United propaganda on you guys. It just happened to be that United-Tottenham game today, and I'm not going to talk about the score because it's irrelevant. So
Totally
we're just supporting our team. So
Yeah.
let's get
We're not trying to beat you over the head with our
love for our
jerseys,
team.
but maybe we are. Who knows?
Um,
Subliminal messaging.
Right. But it kind of gets into today's topic of soccer and fashion and what it all means and how it all works together.
Yeah. So we basically wanted to. This is an episode that we've kind of been wanting to do for a little while because it's actually the reason why we started our clothing company. Is that we see that soccer as fashion is this massive, massive thing right now, and it's kind of always been outside of the U.S. And I think that everybody's kind of seeing it within the U.S. right now. There was an article written on GQ, and it posed the question, is soccer replacing skateboarding as fashion's bandwagon of the moment? Which is a really interesting concept because if you pay attention to any of the actual fashion, the runway and like Fashion Week and stuff like that, soccer has been on the forefront of every single designer's
Yep.
like tongue, and every design that they make was all inspired by soccer. And a lot of it is typical like Newsweek stuff, which is like you'll never actually wear that out in public.
Mhm.
But that being said, soccer's kind of transcending just the sport, and it's also getting into fashion.
Right. I mean, we've seen a lot of collaborations between these high-end fashion brands, but we're also starting to see a lot more collaborations with more mainstream brands and more brands that have become a streetwear staple. So Palace, Supreme, Off-White, and Virgil Abloh are now they're coming out with their Nike collaboration for World Cup jerseys. So it's been an interesting rise from. It almost seemed like it came out of nowhere, and like everyone kind of jumped onto this train at the same time almost. And when looking at that GQ article about how it's replacing skateboarding culture, it's pretty interesting because it seems like skateboarding fashion became mainstream, and then instantly something else came in to replace kind of that like niche style trend, which I think is super interesting because the people that actually care about skating are still wearing the skating stuff, but then the mainstream people that are mainstream and just want to go with whatever fashion trends are happening are now hopping onto this kind of like, hey, let's start throwing soccer logos on everything that we got.
Right. It's just funny to me because a lot of the streetwear brands that a lot of people know, the Supremes, Diamond, the Hundreds, all these like very prominent streetwear brands, they were pulling from skateboarding fashion for so long before it hit mainstream, right? And then, it hit Fashion Week and that became the influence there. It's just really cool that streetwear in the U.S. was so rooted in actual streetwear, skateboarding and like urban, kinds of things. And then all of a sudden, soccer's kind of infiltrated the U.S.
Yeah, it's super interesting because this kind of dates back even like before what we've seen super popular in the news. Like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I saw the Hundreds come out with like a collaboration that had to do with some kind of soccer tournament that was going on, and it was like a bunch of streetwear brands were doing it, and it was really cool to see that then. But now to see it totally just take on a whole nother monster, like Balenciaga with the crazy fan scarves they did one of their past fashion shows this year. And just
I think
lot of
PSG was PSG.
It was like a PSG.
It seems like PSG's been getting a lot of the collabs because they are in Paris and they kind of have so many influential people there.
Right.
And then also like even just trying to find new jerseys. I always like to look for jerseys, and like doing some research even a couple weeks ago. It's like crazy how many different companies actually have done jerseys already. And they were just not in the spotlight. Yeah. But if they had done it now, it would be like night and day. It'd be crazy.
Yeah. Well, I was reading some article about kind of retro jerseys and the art behind them, and kind of when they started really when the jerseys started becoming just jerseys and started becoming more fashion statements on the field. And apparently Levi's did a collaboration with Mexico for a jersey that's like impossible to find.
Wow.
It was like a 19-something jersey that you can't even find pictures of it now, but it's something that like retro collectors die to get their hands on. So we've seen stints of this and like little sparks every now and then throughout the course of history where fashion and football have collided to a more mainstream group of people, but now it's really starting to really take fold.
Well, what I love about it is the fact that as soccer becomes more and more popular in the U.S. as a sport, through the MLS, through the USL, through NASL, and all of the things that go on in the U.S., it seems like soccer is finally starting to arrive in the U.S. At the same time, soccer and fashion are arriving at the same time in the U.S. as well. So it's kind of like one's kind of carrying the other in a weird way. So it's like, if you can get kids who are super into streetwear, into these streetwear brands that are making soccer stuff, that would eventually help them, hopefully, into getting into the sport and starting to see the sport the way that I think the three of us see the sport and a lot of the people in the rest of the world see the sport, which is kind of the main topic of our podcast, right? Talking about, soccer lifestyle, soccer culture, and how it influences real world. And so it's really cool to see it influencing things that people are buying here in the U.S. Because for us, it felt like for the longest time, soccer was such a niche thing. It was such a small thing, and it's just really cool to see that it's becoming so mainstream in terms of fashion.
Yeah. So, and I want to kind of get into a little bit of history because when I was looking into this and kind of trying to get a perspective of, it seems random almost, but it isn't. Because, so looking back, UK, London, England, football's always been big. Hooliganism has been big, but it's all music and fashion has always been big there simultaneously with the sport. And through fashion, kind of hooligans were able to get away from the cops. And what I mean by that is, so in the 1980s, 1990s, there was this kind of group trend that started happening where people started being called the casuals. And what these people were people that were hooligans that were dressing in super high-end stuff from overseas, Stone like Island. Lacoste, Stone Island, all of these brands that you wouldn't see in England, dressing really nicely to games so that the cops wouldn't see who they were, because at that point hooliganism was you're a skinhead, you look like a punk rock star, you're kind of grungy. So this kind of revolution happened where all these young kids started just rocking all these super high-end stuff, and cops wouldn't stop and wouldn't pull them over. And they started going to games, and then it was kind of a cultural clash because these guys looked super classy, but were going onto the fields and just to try to beat people up, right? So with that, the extension of that became people actually started caring about fashion and started wearing all these things. It was funny because whenever teams would go, or British teams would go abroad, people knew them because they would come and just loot all the stores in town because they wouldn't buy anything. They just go there, steal everything from the stores, bring it back to England, and everyone would be kind of kitted out in the fresh stuff. But because of that, there started to become a real interest in these brands that they would have never seen, and really a desire to start looking really good for games. And then that kind of brings in that hand in hand of, okay, well, now I want to dress really nicely for the soccer game, match day. I'm going to throw on my Lacoste, throw on my Stone Island. And that's where even the Green Street Hooligans, I was looking into that. I still need to watch that. But you can look up the movie. You can watch the movie. They're all rocking the Stone Island. Well,
they all look very classy in it.
So that phase was called, these people were called the casuals, but they also kind of started this terrace wear where you're just wearing the jumpsuits, the trackers, and that's kind of been the first, how do you say this, but that was kind of the beginning sort of athleisure becoming a thing where I'm wearing my tracksuit bottom and top and I'm kind of looking fly. And it's even said that these guys were the kind of the first group of people that were sneakerheads because they would always want to rock the Sambas, the Filas, all the tennis shoes that kind of make them look super popular. So that's something really interesting.
Well, I think that if you think in your mind of what a hooligan looks like, in my head I can imagine a man in an Adidas jumpsuit, top bottoms with the black Sambas, straight up black and white. And I'll be honest, when I've the couple times I've been in Europe, you're on the train and you're looking around and you still see these dudes rocking full on jumpsuits and with the Sambas, and it's fresh. It is what it is. Right. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's been cool to see that kind of start transitioning over, right? Because now as you get the artists going overseas, the Drakes, the Justin Biebers, and all these guys going over, you see them. I think it's pretty interesting to see
the globalization
of it, and I think that artists like Drake and Justin Bieber and these guys that you see taking pictures in jerseys kind of don't get the recognition for kind of spreading it over to the U.S. because they'll go to a city. Say they'll go to Manchester, they'll throw on the Manchester United jersey. They go to London, they're in a Chelsea zone, they'll throw a Chelsea jersey on. So yeah, they're being kind of these fake fans, but you're seeing Drake wear Chelsea top and you're seeing Drake wear this Juventus top. It's like a picture that
I was gonna say, the Drake in the pink Juventus top
is iconic.
Everybody in America has seen that picture, and everyone just
well, what is this?
Yeah,
and that brings that over. So
it starts opening up the question of what is this? Why is this popular? Why is the soccer kit a popular top when other sports they are popular, but it's not as fashionable necessarily to wear, an NFL jersey. Yeah. You can wear an NFL jersey shirt. I have a couple of Patriots jersey shirts,
on game day,
but you really only wear. I wear them a couple because it's New England. You kind of wear them out.
But you think back mid 2000s, you was wearing a big old football jersey to school. And that was
now they're a little more fitted, and the large was actually a double XL back then. But you know what I mean? It's and it's also interesting that football jerseys, soccer jerseys, they actually look like they were made to be worn off the pitch.
And
right?
we're speaking about
Like
soccer, correct?
Yes, soccer.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it's a football.
No
Soccer.
worries.
So like the jersey that Louis is wearing now, it's what year is this?
This was RVP's like last year, I think. So 2013.
So for anyone that's actually listening and not seeing the video, it's a white jersey, has the United logo, but has a collar. Right? How many sports?
So
do you see
it's like
that
a
with
polo.
Collar. It's like something that's kind of versatile, can be worn, whatever. Sure, it has the logo stampings and whatnot, but it's way more usable than a Pats jersey or something that you just want to rock out. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting in terms of that, because in terms of fashion and style, a soccer jersey can be worn way easier on the street than, say, some other sports jersey.
Well, one thing I think that's really interesting about it is that, like, jerseys aren't exactly cheap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same way that, like, high fashion isn't cheap. And so in people's minds, you look at these things as, like, valuable things to attain and acquire and then to also wear, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People want to look fresh. They want to know that, like, I spent, $120 on this jersey or $90 on this jersey. They want to wear it and look fresh, not just for game day, but, like, I can't tell you the amount of times I've put on my United kits and, like, gone out. Not the full kit, but the United tops and, like, gone out.
Whole United
I'm
kit.
not a full
Socks
kit
and
wanker,
all.
you know what I mean? Like, that'd be I actually played with a guy who played in a full kit, and I literally, like, it just distracted me. It was at Teamworks. Like, the guy literally had a full kit on. I was like, this is ridiculous.
I've played against a couple of those.
Just ridiculous. Like, why do you have the matching shorts and
man.
jersey top?
They only sell the combo for kids. So
I know. So you went out and bought separately the jersey top and the shorts and the socks because you think
cart of goods.
Yeah.
You went around.
and you think that you're gonna look fresh at the field, and everyone looks at you and goes,
I don't get those guys because, like, this is a $120 jersey. I'm not letting anyone pull on this thing. Like, I'm not falling on the ground on this. Like, you'll be lucky if you can dap me up. You know what I mean? Like, it's an expensive purchase for me to be getting physical in.
Oh yeah.
And even down to, like, the silhouette of a soccer jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
versus
you're trying to
any
get
other-
back to actual
Yeah.
topic? Oh, cool. Yeah. It's good.
Every other sporting team, like, I feel like the silhouette of the jersey, like hockey, way too baggy, way too big. Baseball,
It's just out of fashion. It used to
It
be.
used to be cool. I like the buttons. That some of them
Yeah.
have the buttons
I
all the
mean,
way up. But
some jerseys can be pulled off, but I'm not a big baseball jersey you would wear.
Yeah.
football, same
Basketball, tanks, so it's got to be
tanks.
outside, like,
Yeah.
a
It's
gotta
warm
be summer.
place.
And
or
or
you
else,
gotta have muscles.
or you have to wear like a t-shirt under your jersey and you look like a scrub and you can't pull it off. I don't think I'd ever wear a basketball jersey. I love the jersey shirts. I just don't think I could pull off a basketball jersey.
Nah, I would
Never.
definitely wear a specific one. I used to have a black Shaquille O'Neal Heat jersey that was all black. I was like, damn, that
I think I remember that, dude. Was that back in middle school?
Yeah, that was back in the gangster days.
Yeah, back in the days when you wore the glasses. Too.
Yeah. But still, like, it's not something that you can wear everywhere.
No.
You know what I mean? You're not going to pull up to a bar, take off your jacket, and be wearing a
Yo, check out my new Celtics
just
jersey.
my Celtics jersey at the bar. You know what I mean? So it's something that's not universal
Right.
necessarily, which makes the soccer jerseys as a whole completely different than a lot of jerseys for sports.
And
Right.
then another thing to kind of just wrap up that whole, like, is soccer becoming a new bandwagon fashion? Normally, like, when that happens and it's something I like, it's like, damn, now I'm part of, like, the bandwagon fashion. Like, this is not what I want, but, like, because we love soccer so much, like, I've never been happier. It's like, I love seeing all, like, Alexander Wang, like, Adidas soccer jerseys and all this, because it's just, like, it's pushing the boundaries to what we as soccer fanatics love, and, like, seeing how different fashion can twist those things.
I do think it's a different perspective between us here in the U.S. and someone else overseas. Though.
True.
I think a guy who has supported whatever his local club is starts seeing the globalization of it, might not like it, but us here seeing more soccer jerseys being worn are like, hell yeah, like, that's spreading the sport, that's awesome.
But diehard Man U fans, like,
but some guy that supports Juventus his whole life, knows every single thing about it, sees some kid rocking the Juventus jersey, might not like it, but
mostly because they're like, oh, why is this guy who's not a real fan wearing it?
Why is he wearing it? Because there's almost the blood that's connected.
Yeah,
to
it's like I'm sure there's a couple of Italian people who are like, yo, who the fuck is Drake and why is he rocking this kit? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even like Juventus. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that one thing to really kind of I want to focus on is the fact that, like you said, B, they're kind of pushing the boundaries and they're starting to, because soccer was always more than just the kits for the players or you wearing just like the top out. It's a lot of people started to embrace it. You see, we talk a little bit about this every once in a while about Adidas and how they've been really pushing the boundaries of everything that they do with their everything they've been doing recently over the past 2 years. I'd say Adidas has been, through their through working with Kanye and putting all this stuff out. They're really at the forefront of activewear, but they're also doing this with, like Paul Pogba, and they're really, really getting to the heart of, soccer as fashion, which is really cool to see.
It's one of the only sports that I can think of off the top of my head where a major brand has a sports line, but also a fashion line that is combined with it.
Right.
The only other sport/person I can think of right now is James Harden with Adidas, because he has his like actual James Harden line that a lot of it fits as both leisure and train wear. But that's the only other guy. I don't even know if it's necessarily the sport. It's the only guy that I can think of that has a major that fits for both fashion and kind of function.
So my question is that more of a personal branding part, or is that actually like more fashionable? Because I take a look at it as like, a lot of players have specific branded apparel, and some of it can in fact be a little more fashionable. But I'd almost think of it in terms of with soccer, because it's present on the runways and it's present on more
you're not
designer
seeing
level.
Necessarily. What I'm saying is like he's the only guy I've even seen like
try to get there,
have that influence with the Adidas.
That's fair.
Whereas like LeBron has his whole line, right? But all of then LeBron's like apparel is like the classic like stamped with a bunch of graphics on the front, like the King logo. Right. It's not necessarily something that is like...
It's more about personal branding versus the fashionable side, which is kind of what I was trying to...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's an important distinction too, because you're getting these full lines for these players, but you're not seeing anything where like these are fashion. Like the Paul Pogba line has items there that are like, you might not play in it, but it's something that's fashion. It looks nice. But it's fashion forward and it's focused on looks.
And it's not just a face of Paul Pogba,
right?
Going like, hey, it's me.
It's bare. It might have his little logo on it, but it's like this is a shirt that you wear to stand out, kind of off the
Exactly. And on top of just like these big brands doing it, we've seen in the U.S. and even a couple of other places as well, a lot of brands, smaller brands starting out, who have been trying to also get in the mix of bringing soccer culture and soccer fashion to the forefront. We interviewed the creative director of Grill FC a couple weeks back, and we talked to him about why he does what he does, and it's a great episode. Check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
And the reason we wanted to do that is literally to talk about the topic that we're talking about now, is to start highlighting what certain people and certain brands are doing to try and be fashionable, but also have the spirit and the love of soccer. And that's really what we love, Yeah. The fact that they were able to create this creative collective of people creating not just on the field, but also jerseys and shirts and all these other things with the spirit and love for soccer as the inspiration. I think that kind of drills it all down.
Yeah, well, it seems like there's been an explosion of local teams that have grown across the U.S. Like it seems like you can find a new random team from. I saw something on Twitter the other day. It was Bug Eaters FC out of like I don't even know, but cornfields of America. But
cornfields of America.
But it's almost like you're building a team, but you're also building a team that has a stylish jersey.
Yeah,
right. It seems like these things
are
coming hand in hand now. It's not just a one-off team that's doing that. It's almost like every single team you see come out now is coming out with a kick-ass jersey, something that's super stylish. That's going to put them on the map, because at the end of the day, like people want to buy really cool good-looking shit.
To give you an example of what we're talking about, there's a club out of Providence called Providence City FC, and they've been releasing some amazing kits over the last, they've been on our radar for about a year now. And we've taken a look through all their stuff, and they've been able to release, small club. They play in, I couldn't even tell you what division. It's very, very small division or lower league division. And, that doesn't stop them from wanting to push the envelope with fashion. They have, everything they put out.
Their New Jersey's amazing.
The black one, it has like Revival Brewing on the front. It is so sick.
So awesome.
And so check them out. Check out their Instagram. To give you an idea of what we're talking about here, they have some of the coolest kits. And, they don't have all that many fans. They're a small lower league team. Yeah. But to Alan's point, the fact that these teams are coming up and being like, yes, we have a team, yes, we play soccer, but we also want to be fashionable. We want to do it right because you want to make people attracted to you.
Right.
I'm tempted to buy a Providence City jersey. You know what I mean? Right. Since there's not much else soccer around us, but it's just sick, and so it's awesome to see fashion coming together with the sport in such a very interesting way.
Well, it goes with what Justin Sahani was telling us from Gorilla. I mean, the two are hand in hand, right?
Oh yeah,
it's not an exclusive thing,
and it's not new either. Right. It's new to America.
New to America, and it's something that as we're seeing a resurgence of this come alive in the U.S., I think it helps people kind of grasp a little bit of what soccer actually means. It's more, it is that art that Justin really liked to reference, but it really is that artful type of sport that isn't just the athlete. It isn't just that the typical idea of what a sport is in America.
Right. So I kind of want to open it up and ask you guys, like, we kind of gave a little bit of a walkthrough of, a couple of highlight points about this. But basically, I want to ask, where does it go from here? Do we think that soccer and fashion continue to come together?
Yes. I think at some point it is going to hit a peak. I still think that right now it's pretty early in the revolution because soccer isn't fully grown or matured in the U.S. But I think for everything, especially for fashion, there's always cycles. I think for soccer jerseys in general worldwide, there is going to be a cycle where we go back to the more monotonous, plain, simplistic jerseys, and that's going to happen for a few years until stuff starts kind of growing again. I mean, now it even seems like a lot of the stuff is getting recycled. I mean, United has a recycled jersey basically right now, the black one of an old jersey that was really popular, but it doesn't seem like there's necessarily a lot of new concepts coming out, right? So I think we're starting to hit, at least in terms of jerseys, kind of the peak of this cycle, and hopefully we start entering something where, boom, every jersey is that iconic, something totally different, something totally weird. Because the weird ones are the ones that stand out in the long run of jerseys, things that are a little different. In terms of streetwear and soccer, I think that we're still very much.
I think we're just beginning.
Yeah, I think it's crawling. It's a little baby. Still, because it is so young here in the U.S. and there's still such a market to grow.
Right.
So that's my...
I think what may end up happening is that we're going to have a little bit of a peak, like a real quick peak, because all these brands are behind it right now. But I think that because the U.S. isn't fully immersed in the sport quite yet, it's going to dip down for just a little bit. And then once the U.S. gets back on board or gets fully on board with soccer as a sport, I think we're going to see another massive wave of these certain things, of brands focusing on soccer and especially these big streetwear brands. Not that they aren't doing it now, but I think that that's just how it's going to be. And but like you said, I think this is just the beginning. And I think that in the U.S. we have some of the most creative people on this planet. And, to a whole country that hasn't necessarily been properly introduced to the sport quite yet, we're still getting there. Yeah. I think once we're there, you're going to have some of the most creative people creating some of the most amazing things. Yeah. Especially with like we said, we've seen a lot of smaller, lower league clubs coming up with a lot of really awesome kits, and I think that's just going to continue.
Yeah. My standing is that in the fashion industry, it's definitely going to peak super fast just because it's so fast moving. I think that with brands...
Do you mean like high-end fashion?
Like high-end fashion, Balenciaga, Gosha, and stuff like that. I feel like they're definitely going to start to phase it out as soon as they see something new happen. In terms of the United States, I think you're right in saying that once these teams kind of blow up a little more and we see how a couple more seasons of Atlanta United selling out everything kind of pushes the envelope and what have you. And then it really depends, too, on our influencers. What are our celebrities going to be wearing? Are they going to still, are all these people still going to be wanting, Juventus jerseys and stuff, or, are they going to find something new, like hockey or some other sport? But do I want it to keep going? Hell yeah, I want it to keep going. Yeah. I want to wear my jerseys all the time.
I'm not sick of it just yet, I don't think.
No.
I've seen some 21 Savage wear a United jersey, someone from Migos wearing a Southampton jersey randomly, but I think we're still almost there.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of fashion, I think that it moves quickly, like you were saying. But Still a lot of room to grow. A lot of celebrities still have to wear a lot of jerseys.
What I'm excited
Yeah,
to
right.
see, what I'm super excited to see is like if a couple rappers come out and they're like, and you have like, or at least one big time rapper who's like, you know what, this is my club, this is who I support, this is the only team I support, in a way that's similar to like, say like Stormzy and United over in England, if anyone knows Stormzy, you know, or if you can get like this big US based rapper, like we said, we talked about in the Atlanta episode that there were a lot of rappers that became fans. What I'm trying to say is like if you find someone who becomes a diehard supporter of a club and they're like, this is the only thing I will wear, this is the only thing I will do, and it's the only club I will support, I think that's gonna have a huge impact on soccer and culture, especially because of, you know, the examples that I stated, like Stormzy and these other, you know, like UK-based rappers who all have one club that they're like, this is my club. This is what I'm going to rock at shows. This is who I'm going to collab with. And so that's going to make a huge impact as well once we get there in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for DJ Khaled to be like, yo, I'm the face of Miami football.
That might be really
that
cool.
cool. Could be one.
Or like Rick Ross.
Well, that's the thing is that, here are two interesting examples of what could happen in the scenario. So LAFC, the second LA team, is starting to play this year. Who knows? Maybe a couple of LA celebrities, maybe not super big yet, but like smaller celebrities, grow into the sport. And 3 years from now, they're like, nah, the only club I support is LAFC. And they're only rocking the black and gold from LAFC.
Almost like the thing that's happened in Atlanta, where it was like a team is recently brought up. It's really hot, so celebrities start jumping on that hot trend.
Especially
versus a team that's already kind of been there, and then it becomes hot just because they're playing well.
And I actually think the LAFC might be able to do it because their stadium's actually located like really in LA. I looked at it
in the middle of like so many
downtown
diverse
LA
communities in LA that it's primed to be really good.
And some people might be saying, you know, what about the Galaxy? The Galaxy are located outside, really, of LA. It's in Carson, I believe, California. So it's like not if you live in LA. If anybody's ever been in LA, you know how awful the traffic is. So
try again on Carson. Try again down there.
So and the other one I wanted to bring up is, like you said, Miami. A lot of celebrities. The hotspots are L.A., Miami, New York. You know what I mean? I think New York is a little interesting. I think their New York City FC has quite a lot of fans. I just don't know how many of them are like, you know.
There's just too much going on.
There's too much going on in New York, and it's like, well, this is crazy.
Yeah, it was. NYS they blew up a little bit, but they didn't get it to a point where like I don't know.
They didn't capture the cultural part yet.
They still needed a little bit more to get a big celebrity fan behind them. Although they tried getting all the big name managers and whatever, but it just didn't work there. But I think Miami is primed for it because they're a big city, but they're not too big, and they're kind of like
they're the vacation destination of every celebrity.
Yeah, and they're depending on where they can get a good a stadium located. They just have a lot of influencers there that can really put a stamp on the club, but also get a really nice jersey inspiration for
from
Miami.
the get-go, just having David Beckham, one of the most stylish footballers in the world, totally fashionable.
Yeah, I would hope that him being who he is will have huge power over what they get for style and creative. That's probably going to be one of his favorite parts. Is kind of, I think, designing what this club is going to look like.
From the crest to the colors to the kits to the everything.
I do think that he's a great mind to put on that.
Especially because he was such a global icon for so long. Not just because like he was a world-class player, you know what I mean? Won the Champions League. He was super up there, but he was also one of the first globalized.
I think in my head, I'm trying to think of someone else. I know what you're going to say. He's the first fashion. For sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that for soccer, he was the first fashion global icon.
To even, global for sure, like to reach us in the United States, I think.
About it. Even before he ever came to the MLS, I think everybody knew David Beckham.
Yeah. He just lives the perfect, celebrity lifestyle for what U.S. consumers kind of dates the super pop model. You know what I mean?
That's why he succeeded so well in L.A. because of that.
Right. He's growing that personal brand in a place where celebrity and kind of fame and stuff and stardom is big. But yeah, I think that he's going to be primed for a really good. I hope that their jerseys are cool. I think that they are because of him in a really good place to come out with some cool designs. I feel like Miami is such a good. backdrop, but they have such good like vibes there to pull on and to make something really
A lot
stylish.
of cultures.
The
flamingos.
Miami City jerseys for the NBA that just came
They're
out for me.
so cool.
One of the nicest jerseys.
Nike did a
ever come
phenomenal
out,
job with
because
that.
they have that same kind of blue and pink. That's classic to Miami.
Yeah.
And sure, it may be a little tacky if the team did it, but depending on how it comes out,
How
that
about the
color
Las
combo
Vegas
is so
team?
nice.
Remember the Las Vegas team that had the neon sign?
Yeah, right.
I think it just
totally
depends on
embracing it.
execution. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because the neon sign from Las Vegas
Dope.
City or Las Vegas Lights. I'm sorry, Las Vegas Lights. They could have done a really bad job at it,
Yeah.
and it could have been
Yeah, 'cause it's
cheesy.
super tacky.
But the execution on it is all that matters.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like you
Well-
said, I think Miami is primed, and it's in a great location to do what we said.
Yeah, absolutely.
But moving on a little bit, I think that this episode is really important to us because of what it means to us as people, and also as for the company that we created.
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk about it very often, but we have our company Trebl, which is, we are kind of trying to tap into that market, and it's something that we felt there wasn't really much of in terms of a company that tried to encompass off the pitch stuff, on the field stuff, meshed it into one kind of general brand. People would say, oh, Nike and Adidas. Yeah, but they do everything, right? They do
Right.
all sports, and we kind of wanted to focus in on something that we truly love and a passion of ours, I'd say, in terms of sport and style. So it's really important for us. I mean, this is something that we're living off of this.
Right.
So it's something that we obviously want to see grow, not only in terms of a market, but in terms of, we want everyone rocking jerseys, because that means that everyone is here to support the thing that we love doing.
For sure. The same way, you know what I mean? Like, we just want soccer culture to be super huge.
Yeah.
Like, that to us, I think, is like, that just encapsulates all that we're feeling. And what that means is through music, through fashion, through cultural relevancies. Like, that's how you bring it up within culture. And I think that for us, it's super awesome to be able to talk about these topics, because this is what we envisioned and we saw 2 years ago when we started working on the ideas for our brand.
And it's not even like a monetary gain.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's awesome that it's becoming popular, but I think it's just so much more exciting for us that it's becoming popular, because it just gives us another excuse to keep doing it.
Yeah, and it almost gives us more people to talk to.
Yeah,
like, you know what I
exactly.
mean? I feel like there's a different environment overseas where, like, if I go and say something about a team or a local area, I can start chatting shit with anyone, right?
Right.
And that may be the case for other sports, but it's not something that I enjoy. It's obviously not the sport I love. Other sports aren't the sports I love. So it just would kind of make it feel like a more not at home, but it makes it feel just like more comforting to me and to us to be able to just kind of have that be the local thing. I go and talk about the Revs with anyone that I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I think it's just like the essence of what we've always wanted, and it's just like the excuse that we are going to take and run with it.
I mean, it's why we started this. We started this as a way to kind of communicate that vision.
You mean Culture FC?
Culture
Yes.
FC, correct. To communicate that vision is why we do the YouTubes, the every platform, the now gaming, because that's all part of the culture that we grew up on and still.
And
grow
weirdly
up
enough,
on.
it's kind of it's weird to think about it, but like, I think that our community that we grew up in, everyone that like we were friends with, like, played soccer. So for us, we played FIFA. We were immersed in this culture that, in a weird way, I didn't think of this as a kid, but it's a niche culture in America.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Yeah, to us it doesn't seem like it because our hometown is so big. That might be one of the bigger sports, especially in high school. That was kind of the main sport, like one of
because
the
they were
better
actually
sports.
good.
Yeah, one of the better sports. So for us, it doesn't seem like it. But when you look at a global or a national perspective, you can see that it's really not that big of a deal. Or it's, now that it's growing, yes, but still not that big of a deal. And it still kind of is that you're the odd man out if you're a soccer fan.
Oh yeah, and like, even like, I work at a ski shop, and I see kids come in with their like Bayern Munich jerseys on and stuff, and it's just always, it's funny because like I love starting conversations with them, like, where'd you get your jersey? Who do you support? I like your accent. Where are you from? England. Who do you support?
Yeah,
like, it would be great to be like, you're from New York. How's NYCFC doing? Like,
Versus being like, how much are the Knicks sucking today?
Yeah, it's like I feel like
football.
these more Americanized sports. They're like, you might see another guy in a Boston Red Sox hat, but you're not going to say anything to him. Like, it's just a common thing almost.
Right.
It's just there isn't that culture of you're a fan, we're in this together. Really, like we are really fans. And it's funny because when I was coming back from California, United City were playing, and I was wearing my black jersey. Went through security. Some guy was like, "Tough game, man," and we looked at each other and we were just like, "Yeah." So there's that connection that I think is still lacking. But that,
even on Tuesday nights, there's a dude on another team we used to play, and he wore a Liverpool jersey every time. Just like, yo, dude, I know we're playing against each other, but like, pretty sweet game the other day, huh?
Right.
Like, way to go.
Yeah.
But all right, we could ramble about all of this for the rest of our lives, but we're gonna spare you guys that. But yeah.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy.
I think this episode was pretty cool. The reason why I like this episode so much is that it encapsulates everything that we've ever wanted to do with Culture FC, and it kind of puts a bow on it. But yeah.
But it's not our last episode.
No. Sorry, if that sounded like we were done, we're not done.
Put a bow under the tree, and we open it, and it's Christmas.
Christmas happens every year, except it's going to happen every week for us. So.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Peace.
And that wraps up another fantastic episode. This one was really special to us because we love fashion, we love soccer, and just the fact that the two are kind of coming together at a great apex right now for us really helps us out. So hope you liked it. Subscribe to our social medias. You know what they are by this point. If you're a new listener, thanks. Come on by. We love our 5 stars. We hope you do too. And yeah, don't forget to come back next week. We're always here for you. We hope that you are always here for us. Thanks. This has been Culture FC.